Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm continuing my series on ranking my 100 favorite movies of all time. I am now ready for number 90 through number 86 on my list. I got a little variety here, some animation, some action, some comedies. So I really hope you enjoy this list. And yeah, let's get to it here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Thursday evening. Getting back to ranking my 100 favorite movies of all time. I've talked about 10 so far, so I'll talk about 5 more now on the list. We're still towards the bottom of the list, but still these are all just absolutely fantastic movies. And I like all kinds, comedies, dramas, action, old, new, all kinds anyways. And the reason why I'm doing this list is because of an individual named Jackson. His channel is Horsetooth Cinema, I believe it is. And he won my Oscar prediction contest, and this was his award that he got to choose my next project. So this is my next project. So let's get to it at number 90 on my list. And I already talked about one of these movies, and so we're right back to another one. That is Back to the Future 2, the sequel to the first Back to the Future, the middle of the trilogy there. And I got my cool little trilogy book there, the 3 movies. I know Mike from Did You See That? You might be disappointed that I've already talked about 2 Back to the Future movies already and only the 3rd video, but there's one more Back to the Future that's going to be much higher on my list. But still, I'm such a big fan of the trilogy that I have all 3 in my list. When I was looking at it, a lot of times when I have a trilogy, I think, do all 3 deserve to be in there? Should I just have one represent the trilogy, and so I can talk about other, franchises and stuff like that? But this is a case where I was like, I absolutely love these movies. I really like Back to the Future too. In fact, I feel like this one is not as liked as the other ones. In fact, obviously, I think anybody you talk to will say Back to the Future is the best movie. I agree with that. And then there's a lot of debate on what's the second best movie, Back to the Future 2 or 3. I feel like most people, I believe Mike likes Back to the Future 3 better than 2. And I feel like most people I talk to will say they like 3 better than 2. I feel like, which is interesting, it kind of seems to be almost an unanimous kind of selection. I actually like Back to the Future 2 just barely above Back to the Future 3. Back to the Future 3 was number 100 on my list. 2 is number 90. So they're both kind of towards the bottom, but with the top 100, but still in my top 100. So they're still absolutely great movies. Yeah, and I really like this one. It's another fun movie of I love time travel movies and stuff like that. I love the idea of time traveling and how it affects the future and all that. This was a cool one, and it really, the first Back to the Future kind of leads on such a great cliffhanger that this basically starts off right from the cliffhanger of the first movie. So it's really perfectly set up by the first movie into this, where we do go into the future this time instead of the past. The first movie would go to it basically spent all in 1955, basically, is the whole idea behind that one. This one, we changed to different futures and past, and even the current date changes because of what happens in the past. So I really like that. And I like that concept that we took that first idea of the first movie of time traveling, and we expanded on it by all this different, especially this one, because this is the only one where we go into the future, which is really cool. Which the future at this time was 2015, which is about 9 years ago. But at the time, 2015 was like, wow, that's such a long time from now. I was like, am I going to be alive in 2015? Seemed like, wow, the future, what's the future going to be like in 2015? And it's like, well, we do have some advances in computers and, phones and all that. We don't quite have flying cars at the moment or hoverboards. So I think there are hoverboards, but I don't think it's widely used by the normal person. Coats that dry themselves. and fits anybody, and there's I think shoes that fit anybody, and size and all that kind of stuff. So definitely a lot of changes there. Though I think it probably did predict some things for the future, interestingly, like FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, that was really cool when they go into the future. I love that whole sequence as a kid watching this, and still I get a kick out of that. But I love we go for the future, then we go uh, to back to 1985, but except it's an alternate future. That's a really cool idea too. That they go into an alternate 1985 because of what Biff does, and the whole sequence is really cool. How they have to get the almanac, whatever. They figure out how to get. They have to go back to 1955. So we get 1985 current, not so much, I guess, but mostly we get 2015, we get an alternate 1985, and then we get 1955 again. So we get three different time periods. And I love how the actor Wilson, I think his name is Tom Wilson, who plays Biff. I love how he plays the same kind of Biff character, but he plays it like four different ways, basically. I think it's actually really good acting by him. He's so good as a villain, also can be funny as well. But I mean, you get Biff in the future, or Griff actually. You get he plays his grandson Griff in the future. You get old man Biff as well. Then you get the young Biff in the 1955. You get the middle-aged Biff in 1980. Sorry, yeah, 1985, and the young Biff in 1955. So I love how he plays a little bit different in each role, but it's the same kind of character anyway. So, but yeah, it's still a very, very fun movie throughout. Some good action sequences, and I love Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Just great chemistry again anyway. So yeah, still a great movie, I think, and I have it at number 90, Back to the Future 2. Number 89, yet another Marvel movie. I think we're going to talk about Marvel about every video because I have them kind of spread out through my list. But this time we got Thor Ragnarok at number 89. This is my favorite of the Thor movies. There's been four of them. This is definitely by far like my favorite one. It's funny, when Thor first came out in the first Thor movie, I was not that interested in the character. He's just this overpowered kind of alien. They call him a god but he's just this overpowered supernatural being. To me, wasn't as interesting as Stark or as Rogers. Kind of characters were more normal somewhat. Well, he's from outer space. And so Thor definitely has grown on me over the time. Like I think he was better when he was like in the Avengers. He's when he teams up with other Marvel superheroes. I think he works better, I think, in a lot of ways. But this definitely was a big change in the character and in the movies. Of course, because they got director Taika Waititi to do this movie. And it was Taika Waititi's first big budget movie. He was kind of known for kind of more low budget comedies, quirky comedies. And so it was weird that they gave him this big budget superhero movie, and he did an absolutely amazing job with it while keeping a lot of great comedy. It's the funniest of the Thor movies. It's probably the funniest of all the Marvel movies. I think that's why I have it here, and that's why it's one of my favorite movies, because when I saw it in theater, man, I laughed so much. I wasn't expecting to, because the first two Thor movies weren't that funny. I mean, there's a couple laughs here and there. I would say Thor 2 Dark World is like my least favorite Marvel movie of all time. It's definitely up there as one of the worst. Thor 1, the first Thor, is okay. I like it okay. It's not one I have in my collection. It's not one I go back to. Really, the only one I go back to is Thor Ragnarok. Of course, needless to say, Thor Love and Thunder was a real mess of a movie, and probably the worst one of them as well. It's hard. Between that and Thor 2 Dark World, two pretty bad movies. And Taika Waititi did that one, and he just couldn't capture the magic of this one. But yeah, I love... and Thor, it wasn't known as kind of a comedic character, and they turned him, like I said, they definitely changed the character to make him more comedic. And Hemsworth does a great job with the comedy. Like, I didn't know how good he was with comedy, and I've seen him do other comedies since then. I mean, he's a huge dude. He's a huge Australian dude that you're like, yeah, this guy is a great action star. Has that look, anyways. Really good looking guy. But then it's like, oh wow, he actually has some comedic chops as well. They does a great job here. And he got so many great characters throughout. Love Jeff Goldblum. He's absolutely hilarious. Just being himself, it seems like, as the Grand Master. To me, the best part of the movie is the whole Thor being on that planet with the Grand Master, and then, of course, the fight with Hulk. That's a great scene, and the scenes with Hulk are great. That whole thing was the best part of the movie. I absolutely that. You also get the rock creature, which was voiced by Taika Waititi, which is another very funny character. So, and Valkyrie kind of joins up at that point. So yeah, so many great funny characters added to this, and but the action was good. And I love we got the immigrant song from Led Zeppelin when he, which fits that character so well because it kind of talks about Norse mythology in the song, and that scene where he comes down with the hammer with the lightning and boom and hits everybody and everybody goes. So many great stuff. I wasn't a fan of the villain, to be honest, but Kate Blanchett's a great actress, but Helia, I think her name is Hella. I think her name's Hella. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that as a villain, even though she's good in it. I do love the ending. She has that. The big demon looking guy with the sword comes to destroy. It's his Ragnarok, which is the destruction of Asgard, whatever. And Hulk tries to fight it, and Thor's like, "No, don't fight it. We want this to happen." And Hulk goes, "Oh, big monster!" And I'm always like, "Oh, that cracks me up so bad when he does that." Anyway, so just say it's such a fun movie, great action movie, great comedy. Thor Ragnarok, I have her at 89. Speaking of great comedies, my next one is one of my favorite comedies, actually, and that is Elf, and one of my favorite Will Ferrell movies here at 88. And also a great Christmas movie. It's like a great comedy. It's a great Christmas movie. Yeah, I had to put it in here. This is one, obviously during Christmas time, I'm always watching this movie. It's a classic now. It's like a must watch every Christmas time. And I saw it in the theater when it came out, in fact, and because I was a huge Will Ferrell fan, because I was a huge fan of Saturday Night Live. And Will Ferrell is one of the funniest guys to ever come across Saturday Night Live, in my opinion. Really, this was his first starring role in a movie. He did some supporting roles in some movies before this, but this was the first one. It was like, all right, you're the top name on the, you're not sharing with anybody. You're really the star of the movie. And he did such a great job of carrying the movie and kind of proved himself to be a bankable comedic star, I think. And he would go on to make a lot of, I have other Will Ferrell movies on my list, in fact. I think he's one of my favorite comedic actors of all time, to be honest. But Elf, when I first saw it, I thought it was, it was funny. It definitely had some funny moments. The story-wise, I thought it was kind of weak, and there's some stupid moments in it, of course, that don't make sense. And it kind of all wraps around a little too neatly at the end, where I'm like, okay, I have a hard time believing the dad all of a sudden has a change of heart and becomes a good guy at the end when he's kind of a jerk throughout. A lot of that didn't work for me, but when I rewatched it since, like I said, I feel like I've seen it so many times during Christmas time. Every time I watch it, I just laugh so hard that I'm like, I don't care that the story doesn't make sense or certain things are stupid. The fact that it's so funny, and I watched it so many times, I still laugh my head off, just goes to show if you can make it funny, you can, pass, or you can cover up other problems of the movie. I think that's the way I am with Elf. Absolute joy. Will Ferrell just kills it as Buddy, naive, doesn't understand the real world, super energetic. And Will Ferrell is so good at knowing when to be loud and when to be soft and make it funny. I'm like, he must have tried different ways or something like that. But sometimes, so many great moments of like, Santa, when he gets all crazy about Santa, is hilarious. And Santa's my favorite. No, work is your favorite. Make work your favorite. All the whole scene in the stores in the mall is great. I love someone says something and he goes, "I like whispering too," and it's like I don't know why it's funny, but it's like absolutely hilarious. And I don't know, only Will Ferrell knows how to get that just right. And just like the singing telegram, and I'm singing, and it's like I don't know how he's so funny when he's singing like that, but it's great. Yeah, so it's just absolutely, and it's good. It's got a good ending to it. It's a feel good movie, I guess, in a sense. But really, it's just funny. It's just one of the funniest movies ever. That's why I keep going back to it. And I had to put it on my list because ultimately, this is a list of movies. My favorite movies. These are movies that I watch over and over again and keep coming back to. So it has to have that rewatchability, and I think Elf definitely has that. So it's here at number 88 on my list. Last two movies are actually animated movies. So my favorite here at number 87, I have Kung Fu Panda. One of my favorite DreamWorks movies. In fact, it's probably my second maybe favorite DreamWorks movie of all time. Um, yeah, Jack Black, perfect casting for this character. Again, this is one I saw in the movie theater. I saw it with my younger sister. In fact, we were excited to go see it because we were big Jack Black fans because of School of Rock, I think. So I watched about anything with Jack Black, and he's also, I mean, yeah, voice acting. He's just great. I haven't seen the fourth one yet, but I've seen the first three. In fact, I saw them all in the theater, I think, except for the fourth one I didn't see in the theater, but I need to watch that one. But yeah, Jack Black, just a great voice actor, besides being a great physical comedic actor. And it's such a great character. You gotta love Poe. He's kind of a, clumsy, he's of course fat. The whole jokes are that he's this fat guy, fat panda, and he's kind of useless. And now he has to become the dragon. I forget, it's something the dragon. He's supposed to be like this kung fu master, and so he's gonna get taught how to be a kung fu master by, I think, Sishu or whatever. By Dustin Hoffman does a great job here. The whole casting is great. And I love all the animals that represent the different fighting styles, like monkey style, crane style, tiger style. Those are all, snake or viper, I think. Those are all names of different kung fu styles. And I guess what I love about this movie is it's both very funny. I mean, Jack Black's stuff is absolutely hilarious. A lot of the stuff he does as a character. But also, it's a great homage to kung fu movies. It's almost like if you're a kung fu fan like I am, and you watch this, you see different parts and you go, "Oh yeah, I've seen that in this kung fu movie. I've seen that in this kung fu movie. Oh yeah, this scene, this is kind of representing." Definitely, it takes stuff that happens in classic kung fu cinema and kind of does it again here for a new audience, I guess, and for comedic reasons at times. And I just love that about it. And I think all the action scenes are really well done. All the martial arts scenes. Also a great villain. Absolutely one of the best villains, I think. I forget the name of the villain, and I'm trying to think of the name of the actor. So good. He has such a deep voice. Yeah, he's another great voice actor because he just has this very distinct, deep voice. Ian McShane. Ian McShane has such a great voice for villain actors or villain characters. I love him as the villain here. And the whole scene where he escapes, he ends up escaping his imprisonment. What a fantastic scene, visually, and how they choreograph it and how it all comes together. And then the last fight scene between Poe and the villain, really good scene. I love, he makes up words like skadoosh, and it's so funny. Like, I don't know how Jack Black, he makes up this word, and afterwards, me and my sister, my younger sister, we kept saying skadoosh. Like, it was one of our favorite words after seeing that. I'm not as big a fan of the sequels, but this first one, man, this is a great animated movie. So I have Kung Fu Panda here at number 87. So last movie I'll talk about on this list, another great animated movie from Pixar, and that is The Incredibles. In fact, I know a lot of people have this like maybe number one, their favorite anime movie or favorite Pixar movie. It's not quite my favorite, but it's definitely up there. I do have some more Pixar movies to talk about because I'm a huge fan of early Pixar. Was fantastic. I mean, some of the best anime movies ever to come out was that early Pixar stuff. And this kind of towards I'd say the early Pixar. It was the first one from Brad Bird, and can't remember if it won. I want to say it might have won like an Oscar for Best Anime Movie at that time. He would go on to do Ratatouille, which did really well, and then Incredibles 2. So he's done, I think, 3 Pixar movies. All 3 have done very well. Maybe all 3, at least 2 of them, if not all 3, probably won Oscars for Brad Bird. Really made a name himself for animation when he came over to Pixar. And yeah, I saw this in theater, and I remember seeing the theater, and because all the Pixar movies were absolutely amazing, so I was all in on watching Pixar at the time. And I remember this movie coming out, and I thought it was okay, but I wasn't like overly thrilled with it for some reason. I think I thought it was kind of boring at times, kind of dragged at times, because it's not as comedic as some of the other Pixar movies, but it's more of a, it's a superhero kind of movie, but it's a spy movie as well. And so it's a little different, I think, than the other Pixar movies at this time. And it's the first one to really have human beings as the main characters, as the other ones had, toys, had fish, had monsters, stuff like that. So this was kind of a new, different movie for Pixar at the time, and I don't think they've done humans really. I mean, it's a little bit in Toy Story, but definitely I've heard at this point when they were doing this, humans were kind of hard to do because of the hair and all that. And it was kind of hard to do good humans, but this they proved to do really well. And now after, but like I said, I was a little disappointed when I saw it in the movie theater at the time it came out. But after rewatching it, man, I just found myself really loving this movie. Love the characters. Love the whole idea behind this. Superheroes can't be superheroes anymore because of stupid lawyers and what I'll call is probably a bunch of liberals, probably got together and decided that we can't have superheroes anymore. And I think that's pretty accurate to probably what would happen in real life. And I love that there's this superhero family trying to hide their being a superhero, but he really wants to get back those old days. It's a really good premise. And then he gets, into this whole spy thing, not knowing that it was actually a bad guy that was in charge of it. And what a great villain. Another absolutely amazing villain. And I love the story behind, I think his name was Buddy as well. But Buddy wanted to be a superhero, but he didn't have superpowers. So Mr. Incredible kind of just, brushed him aside. And then that created a villain. And so Mr. Incredible himself, through his kind of somewhat jerkiness, I think, created a supervillain, an accident, which I'm forgetting now. Buddy, I know, but I forget. He had a villain name, a pretty cool villain name. But it turns out to be very menacing, very kind of scary at times. Not scary maybe, but intense. Formidable villain just because he's so smart and he was able to create all these cool weapons and stuff. And then his whole story of how he's going to make himself a superhero by making a villainous robot that only he can defeat. And that's how he's going to get everybody on his side. Like, yeah, it's just a great storytelling, I think. And then the family has to get together and fight, and they use their powers together. And I love Mr. Incredible's super strong. You got his wife is stretchy, like Mr. Fantastic. You have the boy is super fast, like Flash, and then you have the girl who's invisible. Again, it's like the Fantastic Four, I guess. There's a little bit of Fantastic Four sense to them, which makes sense. But yeah, the action scenes are really done. I mean, these are some of the best action scenes put together for an anime movie. Like, I love the scene in the kind of the jungle where they're being chased and they have to use their powers together, and then they have to fight the evil the big robot thing in the city at the end. Really well choreographed, how it's all put together and how they eventually win. I mean, it's really, really well done. I also love Frozone. Frozone is one of my favorite characters. But maybe my favorite scene is he sees stuff's going on, he needs a suit, and he's telling his wife, "Where's my suit? Where's my super suit, woman?" And she's like, "We got, this thing going on, you can't just leave." And he's like, "It's for the greater good." And then, "I'm the greatest good you'll ever have." That whole scene, I love Frozone, played by Samuel L. Jackson. So some good laughs there as well. And also, you gotta love the costume designer. That whole scene of her talking about the costumes like that is so great as well. But yeah, it's a lot of great scenes here. And yeah, definitely one that I keep going back to. And sequel is really good too. Sequel is not in my top 100, but sequel is really good as well. And I'd love to see a third one. I think it's a great franchise idea that I could keep coming back to these characters and these ideas. And Brad Bird's so good of a director that I'd love to see more of his work as well. So yeah, so that's The Incredibles, the number 86 on my list. So that's my next 5 on my list. Please feel free to comment what do you think about these movies. Are they favorite movies of yours? Have you seen them? Love to read your comments. And besides that, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to Jackson for suggesting this as well. Definitely go and check he has a really great movie channel, Horsetooth Cinema. Definitely check his channel out and sub to him as well. He's I'd say, pretty good friend overall. I don't talk to him a lot, but when I do, we always get along really well. I always enjoy talking to Jackson. Anyway, so yeah, so besides that, thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day.